everyone, and welcome back to another episode of CUNY Uncut, where we talk about anything and everything, uncensored, unedited, and uncut. And it's the season finale today. It's episode 10, and we thank you all for watching everything throughout the entire year, whether it be on YouTube or our social media pages, TikTok and Instagram. So thank you all for watching. And I also wanted to say, congratulations. You've made it through yet another year of school. You've done all the work, and congratulations that you've gotten to this point. For you graduates, congratulations to you as well. And it's also internship season as we start to approach the summer. So I thought, what a better way to end it off with getting a pro on to help us figure out what's next and what's to come. She's a first-generation Latina who took classes over at BCC, Bronx Community College, before going over to Hunter College to finish out her degree in psychology, and then went on to get a master's degree at Fordham University in social work. Now she has her own career consulting company dedicated for students like me and you to navigate their careers. And with that, I'd like to give a very warm welcome to Harleny Vasquez.
Hi. Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for you to kind of share your story. And why don't we get it started with your CUNY journey? Tell me about first getting started at Bronx Community College.
OMG, what the days, right? I mean, going back to BCC days, honestly, being a first gen, I am also, the oldest daughter, right, of immigrant parents. And I feel like for me, being at BCC was like, wow, I made it to college. I can't believe it. Now, what's going to happen, right? And I think my experience then was really just trying to really figure out, like, what am I into? What type of classes, right? And that feeling of, like, start declaring your major. What's your next plan? I think it's more along the lines of kind of thinking, like, what's next? And I think, BCC really opened my eyes, honestly, into my love of psychology.
So you started taking a couple psychology classes, and then we're done with your associate's degree, and you said, okay, got to figure out what's next. Why was Hunter College the option for you?
Honestly, I got into a couple of CUNY schools, but I don't know, something about Hunter, besides the location, I think it kind of spoke to me. And I think that, seeing how diverse it was and seeing how, like, they had a lot of different programs, honestly, really attracted me to go into Hunter. And I was like, Hunter, let's go, right? And can't forget about the purple colors.
Of course. Well, tell me a little bit about your time at Hunter. I know it wasn't so easy, and it's difficult to kind of figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life, especially during college.
I think during my time at Hunter, I think there was definitely a lot of uncertainty into really figuring out what my life after Hunter was going to look like, right? I know we'll get into like graduate school and my social work journey in a bit, but I think during my time at Hunter, all I knew was get this degree, get your bachelor's, and then get a job. And I think it wasn't until, through my exposure in internships, right? And really, I remember getting my first internship thanks to Google, literally Google, searching on Google. I was like, internships in psychology, ended up coming up Columbia University Psychiatric Institute, and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool. And through that exposure, kind of really opened my eyes into just mental health overall. But even going back to my experience as a Hunter student, I think it was more along the lines of like, let me try to figure out like what's my niche, who's my tribe, right? Who's my people? And I think even going back to some of the classes that I was taking and then kind of finding other people that were studying psychology, I'm like, oh, look, I'm not the only one who's actually interested in that. So I think for me back then, even though there was a lot of uncertainty, finding people that were like in similar paths when it comes to career was honestly, truly, amazing for me to experience.
And as a current Hunter student, I definitely notice the amount of people that kind of just go to class and then go right home afterwards. I think that's really a theme throughout a lot of the CUNYs because it's such a commuter system. What would you tell to those students who really go to class and then go home in terms of trying to get their career ready?
Oh my God, honestly, I used to do that myself. Even though I was like text people after, I feel like I know this time for anyone who's listening, especially those who are about to graduate or those who haven't graduated yet. I know that urge of like, oh my God, I just need to get out. Like I'm tired and all those things. I know those feelings are real, but please utilize the resources that are on campus because before you know it, it's going to be gone in a blink of an eye. And I'm not saying go to your counselor and spend all the time, but like check out all of the clubs, check out all of the associations because you just never know who you're going to meet, right? And even though you might be like, like, I don't need a job or I don't need an internship. It's just building these conversations because honestly, you don't know where you're going to be in 5 years. And right, those people could be your connection to the opportunity that you want to seek.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And you also talked about kind of using Google to your favor before, getting that internship. Can you tell me about what the process is like for people who are trying to get internships? It's such an internship heavy business nowadays.
100%. I feel like, obviously internships are truly the opportunity for you to get exposure. Even if, let's say, at the time that you're seeking your internship, you haven't had a quote unquote declared major, think about, hey, what is an area that I'm like, truly outside the box, right? Before I ended up getting my internship at Columbia, I actually had my internship. I forgot what, year I was in, but it was at NYU Langone, and it was for the billing department. Again, had nothing to do with psychology, but I was like, let me get exposure to, the hospital system and just kind of working in a different department. And then again, through my love of just talking to people and like really figuring out the healthcare, then that kind of aligned with particular paths that I wanted to take. So I feel like, like be bold. Like you have nothing to lose in taking your shot and doing an internship because that's the only way that you're going to know what are the things that you truly love doing and what are the things that you're like absolutely not.
Yeah, you have to figure out what works and what doesn't. That's kind of what college is for. You really use it to find yourself. And I know that was kind of what your experience was like. You used it as a stepping stone. But it can be very scary to try and figure those types of things out, especially when you're just not sure. Can you talk a little bit about the experience of not really knowing what the next steps are?
100%. So, of course, somebody may see me now, huge extrovert, having a personal brand, and they're like, Harleny, come on, you've always been like this. But even though I'm an extrovert, when I was at Hunter, I was super introverted. I was quiet. I wouldn't speak up. Even though if I would know the answer, I would just be like super quiet because I was afraid, right? I was afraid to be judged, or I was afraid that I wouldn't sound smart, or that I didn't have, the answers or anything like that, which is a fear that a lot of us face, right? Like that, fear to fail, right? And I think for me back then, in looking back, I'm like, oh, I would tell that version of Harleny, like, speak up, utilize your voice. Like, this is college. Like, no one is here to judge you. This is all in room for you to figure out who you are, your voice, right? And it wasn't obviously until I got into graduate school that I was like, oh, this is my voice. But I think, for anyone, again, regardless of where you are in your current academic journey, just start with self-awareness. Have the reflection to recognize, like, how was this semester for me? And if I have another semester, what are some of the goals that I can set for myself to kind of think outside the box? It could be as simple as I'm going to raise my hand in class and I'm going to speak up, or I am going to, attend these events after school, right, to kind of get exposure. I think it's always important to push yourself as much as you can.
It's very intimidating, though, to do all those things. It's so easy to say. How would you encourage people to actually act on those thoughts?
I would say give yourself some grace. I understand that it's not going to happen overnight. Honestly, find a buddy. If you're like, hey, you want to attend with me to this event, which is why I said, like, building that community. And it could be as simple as, like, not saying you're going to be best friends with these people, but being like, hey, are you going to this event after school? Like, want to go together? And again, I think it's so important too to also protect your energy, right? And honestly, this starts in school, right? When you're attending classes, because in the quote unquote real world, people are not going to be protecting your energy, right? It's up to you for you to build that foundation now and to kind of recognize, like, what is my limit? What is my boundary? And how far can I push myself? Again, meeting yourself where as that. And I think it's also giving yourself grace. Like, let's say you signed up for the event and you didn't go, that's fine. Give yourself that pat on the back. You at least signed up. Maybe next time you're going to show up, maybe for 10 minutes, right? Like kind of breaking it down so it doesn't seem like this huge, big goal.
And it also seems like there's so many moving parts going on at the same time, especially in the CUNY system, especially at Hunter. And trying to find your place in all that can be very intimidating. And I feel like there are times when people may go with something that they may not feel like their heart is in, especially when it comes down to like your major. Can you talk about like picking a major that may not necessarily fit what you want to do, but you just did it because?
Absolutely. I will say I understand, obviously, time, money, and even being able to change majors after you have declared and after you have taken classes. But I feel like, again, everyone's circumstances is going to look different. But number one, if you're currently in a position where you had the awareness of being like, I don't want to take these classes anymore, then it's okay to change your mind. Obviously, if you're about to graduate and you have like one class, and of course, get that degree, you earned it because your degree, your major actually, is not going to define your career, right? I always view it as these are transferable skills no matter where you go. I've had people that, got a degree in art and they're working in tech, right? I think it's important to kind of recognize that, hey, I ended up picking this for a reason. And even though this is not going to be my end destination, I got this far. So I think that is always going to be based on where you are in your journey. If you're just starting out and you're already recognizing, like, I don't want to do pre-med, then lean into that. Now, of course, as a first gen, I can definitely lean into those, societal pressures, family pressures. Like, you got to be a lawyer, you got to be a doctor. But I think in this opportunity, it's important for you to utilize your voice as best as you can to recognize, like, hey, I don't think I'm going to thrive in this major, right? Like, look at the evidence, right? Like, science is not, my forte, for example. And I think it's important to kind of lay out that path for, let's say, it's like your parents, right? Like, laying it out, like, no, hey, I don't think this is a path for me, but I'm interested in X, Y, and Z, right? I think it's important to kind of lay that out as best as you can. I know that it's not going to be easy, but I think it's important. I think the theme today is just continue to meet yourself where you're at and give yourself grace no matter what.
And I think you're literally the prime example of that. Coming out of school, you had your psychology degree, but now you're in social work. So things can always change. Can you tell me about specifically for you, your transition over from psychology to what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, when I graduated from Hunter, I took a year off because I was stuck. I was like, what am I going to do with a psych? And that's, for those who are listening, don't come for me and thinking like, I got my bachelor's in psychology, I can't do anything. No, no, no. This is my journey, y'all. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do because, again, I know that at that time with a bachelor's in psychology, I was like, I don't want to do research. I don't know. And because I got exposure. Once I graduated my bachelor's in psychology, I started working at an at-risk youth shelter in New York and working with teens and being around social workers. And I'm like, I think this is what I want to do. And that exposure, led me then into working in foster care and working in social services for 10 years. And that was pretty much my journey as a social worker. And then obviously the other pivot I will talk about shortly. But I think, again, if you're currently in a space where you're questioning, like, am I okay to do this? I want to validate that this is your career. You can take a break to figure things out. The only way that you're going to get clarity is through exposure, is through awareness and recognizing, like I mentioned before, what are the things that I absolutely love doing and even the type of environment that I'm able to thrive best in. Because I think that, like many of us, we don't take the moment to kind of recognize what type of environment and role do I need to thrive best in.
I think that it's so powerful that you were able to kind of switch up like that because I think it's difficult being like, okay, but I want to do this, but it might not work for what I'm doing right now. I feel like looking back, it's better to not have those what if questions rather than to just go for it. Just do it,
Just do it.
And you really did do it. You got, after you spent that time off from Hunter, you went over to Fordham, you got your master's degree in social work over there, and then you started kind of building up your own platform. Now, I mean, your LinkedIn is phenomenal. I'm so impressed. I'll put it up on the screen. 35,000 followers. That's insane. How did you start to kind of build that up over time?
Absolutely. I mean, again, when you say that number, I'm like, really? Again, we don't validate the things that we do until someone points it out. But I think in staying on theme here, when it comes to navigating that uncertainty, my business, Your Evolved Mind, really didn't start like, I want to be a business owner. It really started of me building a platform because I wanted community, because as a social worker at that time, I was frustrated. I was frustrated about my career opportunities because at that point, I was letting the social work field put me in a box. And this goes back to every industry, right? No matter what background, no matter the industry that you're in, you get to create the path that you desire regardless of your degree. Just because you got your degree in business does not mean you need to stay in business. Again, like I mentioned earlier, as a recruiter as well, one of my many hats, I've hired people that had a degree in art, right? And then now they're working in tech with like software engineers, right? And you're probably like, how? Transferable skills. So I think for me, honestly, because I started sharing my story on LinkedIn, I started building that community and people started to follow me to the point that people were like, I want to work with you. And then honestly, that led me into creating my business because I'm like, okay, I need to be legit now. And so it was more along the lines of just community. And then it kind of went from literally lifted from there.
Building your own business is incredibly difficult, and you've done so well with it. Can you tell me about Your Evolved Mind and kind of what your goals are for it?
Yeah, so I founded Your Evolved Mind about 6 years ago, which is crazy how time flies. And Your Evolved Mind is a career consulting company dedicated to supporting Gen Z, millennials as they navigate, career uncertainty. I'm a college and university speaker and career coach, and I work with universities and colleges, across the nation. And of course, I'm a career content creator. So a lot of the work that I do is honestly honed in on my mission, just like this conversation that I'm like, wow, I'm so excited, to be able to just spread my mission, spread the word. Because at the end of the day, like, this needs to be talked about a lot, right? When it comes to helping the next generation really understand that you're not alone, even if things may feel like things are crashing down, you're questioning your path, you're like, why did I even come to school or anything like that? And I want to validate that all of those concerns are valid. And all of that was really grounded in the work that I do with Your Evolved Mind. So I was saying Your Evolved Mind, I actually made a huge goal this year, to finish my college speaking tour. I wanted to speak at 20 colleges and universities. I'm at 10, so I got 10 more to go. So I would say that's currently what's on the road for me this year.
So why specifically college students? And, you're going to all these different universities, talking to all these different students. Kind of what are some of those experiences that you've had, and why do you get joy from this?
Yes, because again, going back to I wish that, I could speak to younger me to kind of be like, hey, take it easy. Like everything is going to be okay, because think about it. If you don't have the support, you're going to crash and burn. Your mental health is going to take a toll. Obviously, being a licensed social worker, I have to say how important it is, to take care of your mental health. And even though, yes, I do work a lot with, early career and like millennials and kind of helping them, pivot, my heart and soul is always going to come back to supporting college students, because honestly, they need support now more than ever.
Yeah, I mean, the new generation, they're the futures of the world, and it's so important that they're able to kind of get their start. I did kind of wanted to talk about the process of going into college, though, because we already talked about switching majors and stuff like that. Would you say that it's better to go in kind of open-minded or undecided than going in with a distinct major?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Go in there open-minded. Unless I want to be a doctor and your heart and soul. It's like, again, going into pre-med and all that stuff, then absolutely, right? Because I know when I went to high school, which high school doesn't exist anymore. When I went to high school, I had the opportunity to take some college classes in psychology. So I kind of had the awareness. But I feel like don't feel the need. Again, honestly, school puts you in a box. It's going to put you in a box like, declare your major, do this, or you're a failure type thing. Like, honestly, the energy is crazy. But I'm like, screw that. This is your degree, right? You're paying for it, unless you got a scholarship. And this is your path. Like, don't let society, don't let school put you in a box. So I feel like go in there open-minded and recognize, like, yes, I know we got to take the core classes like math and science and English. And who knows, maybe you're like, math is the way to go, right? And if you find yourself being super excited by a particular, course, then that's great. Lean into that. I want everyone to just start having awareness regardless of any exposure that they have, whether they're working on campus, whether they're having an internship, whether they are taking courses, whether they're talking to professors or alumni, and really use this information to create your ideal path, right? And that's where you're able to honestly start setting your non-negotiables. And for those who are like, what are non-negotiables, is what I mentioned earlier. Like thinking about, if you could design your dream career, what it will look like. Would you be traveling? Would you work remote? Where you work hybrid, right? Where you work in person, right? Are you at in an office all day behind a computer? Are you more hands-on, right? Are you being more strategic? I mean, the list goes on, but I think we don't really take the time to kind of dream.
Mm-hmm.
I want you all to dream because there is no such thing as a dream too big. And I understand that, of course, imposter syndrome can knock down your door. Like, yeah, right, don't dream that. But like, take your shot. Honestly, look at this opportunity. I reached out to you like, hey, I want to be on the podcast. You were like, sure, right? Like, take your shot. And I think it's important to just kind of recognize that it's okay to fail. That doesn't mean anything less of who you are as a person.
Yeah, I 100% agree to that. I mean, that's such a wonderful point as well. I mean, when you were talking about it before, you did mention, the price of school, which is always a big factor. And thankfully, CUNY is very affordable, but still people are paying a good amount of money to go get their education. And I think for a lot of people who intend to get a major that, they're not in love with per se, they want to get it because they've already put their money into it. They already think that they have to finish it out. What would you say to those people who are getting those degrees and things that they don't love just because of the money situation?
I would say, of course, everyone's situation looks different, right? I'm not going to say like a one size fits, approach. I think it's like, again, really assess what are your options, right? Even within CUNY, if you have taken all of these courses, maybe there's another program, certification, or anything that, going to a trade school that all can be applied. I mean, I'm just giving you an example. I think figure out your options because I think in those moments of uncertainty, when everything starts crashing down, we feel like we run out of options. Might as well just stick it to the end. And then you're just like, I'm just taking class, right? So I think it's important to kind of reassess like what are your options are. And what is your current priority?
Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of people don't give themselves enough options, honestly, both going into college and then going out of college, making up they think that they're in a box and they can't branch out to other sorts of things. What do you say to people in terms of giving themselves the opportunities?
If you are allowed to be multi-passionate. I mean, if I sit here and list all the things that I do, I am multi-passionate, right? Licensed social worker by trade, right? Clinical recruiter in my career, but also have my business being a speaker, career coach, and content creator, right? And all of those things years ago, I'll be like, yeah, right, I'm not going to do that, right? But again, in thinking back to speaking to younger me, I've always been creative. I've always want to be more than one thing, right? So I think that if you're currently find yourself being in this creative outlet, lean into that. Don't be like, this is why they have minors as well, for you to kind of explore and not only put yourself in a box. Mm-hmm. So dream big.
Dream big. I mean, listen, you're the side hustle extraordinaire. Like, it seems like you're doing so many different things. So honestly, get a side hustle, guys. Get a hobby. Do different sorts of things. I'd say just go for all the things that you're interested in. You don't have to box yourself into one sort of thing. I did want to ask about, students coming into college, 16, 17, 18, and they think, I might do better off going into the workforce instead of going into college. What would you advise to those sorts of students in terms of giving themselves the options as well?
Absolutely. I would say, like, in that moment, yes, figure out your options, right? Because if your priority is like, I need to work, right? Especially if, let's say, they have kids, right? I think it's important to give yourself the opportunity to still gain additional knowledge, right? And even if you're like, I'm not going to go to school, as soon as I graduated, but maybe I want to take some classes, some courses, right? I think I always say is just take your shot and take some classes because you never know. Right. And I think sometimes, I speak to a lot of high school students and they often think that I'm like, listen, college is not like high school. You set your own schedule. No one's going to be coming after you saying like, hey, why didn't you attend this class? Unless it's a professor that cares. But I'm just saying in general, I think that like there needs to be more marketing to high school students about the true college experience. Because at the end of the day, what they're left with, what's on TV, right? And like parties and things like that. But I think it's important to just kind of show like, hey, look at the different options that you can do with a college degree. Right? Whether you end up getting an associate's, whether you end up getting, any higher education, I think it's important to, again, the marketing, show them what's possible.
One thing that I personally love about CUNY is that, ability to do those sorts of things. People are working while taking classes. People are only taking night classes, day class. You can really do so much, and there's so many different options. It just matters about, knowing that those resources are there.
Yes.
So how would you advise people to learn more about those types of resources?
I mean, I know that it's not always going to be available, but obviously going onto the CUNY website, right, and kind of reaching out to, maybe someone in enrollment and saying like, hey, I want to be able to figure out like what are the types of programs, that can fit my current needs and, kind of go from there. I mean, that's one of the reasons thinking back with Hunter too, like their flexibility and the availability of classes that they were giving at that time. Now that I remember, that's the reason why I went with Hunter. I'm like, oh, they have so many, again, diverse Saturday evenings, and I think that as a working professional back then, I was like, this is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. There's so many different options. You can take so many different courses, get so many degrees. You don't want to end up resenting anything that you did. You have the opportunity to branch out and do so many different things. So what would you advise to like current CUNY students who find themselves a little lost, trying to figure out what's next, but they feel a little stuck?
I feel like, okay, depending where you are, and if you're currently in a space where you can take electives, right? I would say take an elective. You need to have fun, right? Especially when you're kind of like in this moment of like stuck. I feel like, you need to shake it off a little bit and have some fun. Like thinking back when I was at Hunter, I took dance and I took acting and, improv, and it was so absolutely, so amazing. But I say that because, again, to kind of get out of this bubble of like, what do I do? And again, everyone's situation is going to look differently because I know sometimes an elective can mean more money. But I think that if you're currently in a space where you're able to explore that, do it. If you're currently not in a space, take a step back, right? If you have to take a semester off, right, and reevaluate, then definitely do that, right? If you need to talk to a counselor, right? Talk to an alumni, right? I think really figuring out, going back to what are my current options, right? And I think is the most important thing is to first identify, why do you feel stuck? Do you feel stuck because you're not getting any excitement about the classes you're taking, or are you feeling stuck because maybe your particular goal seems so far out of reach, right? And depending, once you identify like what is the reason, then that's where you give yourself options. If it's that your degree seems so far out of reach, then what options do I have, right? Can I transfer somewhere to accelerate, my time to earn a degree, or, vice versa? So I think, I know it's hard. I know that it's easier said than done. I'm not saying that you're going to be like, I'm going to assess and everything's going to be great. I just want to emphasize that I know it's hard. I know there's a lot of uncertainty, especially when you're adding in all the pressures. But I just want to assure you that you are you. This is your journey, right? It's okay to change your mind. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to take a break, to assess, and maybe, hey, let me go work, right? Let me go find the job. Again, whether it's part-time, full-time, internship, right? And really kind of figure out, again, what are the things that I really enjoy, and what are like the gaps that I want to fill in when it comes to the type of courses that I take.
Mm-hmm. Advocate for yourselves,
yes,
guys.
Advocate.
Like, you guys deserve so much. There's so many different opportunities for you. Everybody's path is not linear. It's all over the place in such a beautiful, messy way, and I love it. And, I also wanted to figure out kind of what's next for you, Harleny. You have so much going on, but what are you looking to do going forward?
Of course. I mean, in talking about my vision board, I mean, obviously, definitely want to be a TEDx speaker one day. I'm definitely want to be teaching as well. And honestly, continue to support the next generation as best as I can.
Awesome. Well, Harleny, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time and really showing off your experience, telling everybody about all these different ways, and how can they find you?
Well, definitely find me on LinkedIn by my name, Harleny Vasquez, and on Instagram and TikTok by Your Evolved Mind.
All right. Well, Harleny, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for watching the Season 3 finale of CUNY Uncut. Thank you all for watching this entire year, and I'm excited to announce that I'll be back for Season 4 of CUNY Uncut, bringing you even more podcasts and even more street interviews on all the CUNY campuses. So thank you all for watching again, and make sure to check us out on social media at CUNY Uncut, and make sure to download the CUNY TV app. And as always, I am your host, David Horn, and we'll see you in the fall. Take care, everybody.